Hello, and welcome to the Quick Map Jumpstart Your Healthy Eating Habits in 6 Weeks. I am so excited to have you here to begin your journey. Now, if you're feeling a bit nervous, just know that is totally normal. We have a little bit of change that's going to happen, so you're going to feel nervous about that. I'm wondering, are you feeling any pressure? Because the funny thing about pressure is, as soon as we start imagining pressure, there's a part of us that starts to already imagine it's just not going to work out. So what if we let go of that for a moment? We're going to let go of any outcomes or any expectation and just hold the intention that we're going to have as much fun as possible taking your health to the next level. Okay, so let's let go of whatever has felt hard about prioritizing your health in the past, or what's ever felt hard about not getting it right or doing your best or feeling like you're falling short. Instead, approach the next 6 weeks with the mindset that absolutely all of this is the easiest, most natural thing to do without missing out on all of your favorite things, or forcing yourself to do things that you just really don't want to do. That whatever happens here is just perfect. How does that sound as a good starting place? Great. So what we're going to be working on together is actually just about releasing energy that's been stored a long time and is ready to just be released. We're doing a little bit of body cleanup. So imagine this energy has been hibernating for a really long time in your body, and that this next 6 weeks is really just about waking up that energy and it's getting released. All that beauty is just coming out of you. How does that sound? Okay, great. So what I'd like to do is start our session with what's going well. The reason we start the session this way is because most of us are used to focusing on what's not going well, what we're doing wrong, what we wish we had done better. So we're shifting our energy to the more positive. Now, it doesn't matter how small the acknowledgement is. It could be any area of your life, in your health, in your body, or any other part of your life. What is something that you're really proud of trying or doing in the past 7 days, no matter how small the effort was? Great, you have that? Perfect. So now what I want you to do is document that in your Quick Map journal. And I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so you see here, and I'm going to turn my head because I'm looking at my other screen. There's your cover page. You have the table of contents, so you can get to whatever is there, whatever's fastest. So we're in session 1, what's going awesome? There's your pre-work. Hope you set your intention. We're going to talk about your water here in just a minute. Then we're going to talk about your high energy foods or your energy foods in session 2. So keep on documenting those. Okay, what is going awesome? So what I want you to do is write down some of those things that are really going well and get that on paper, because you know what? You can look back on that and reflect on it and say, yeah, that really was awesome. And then you know what? You're just going to feel better about it. So go ahead, get that documented. Okay. So turning my head again, sorry about all this. Getting used to the technology. Okay. It's a key to really focusing on what's going well, because all of that extra energy we feel in surplus, and that makes us make better decisions about our health and about our body. Does that make sense? Like when we're feeling low energy and low resource, we're focusing on what's not going well. And we start to feel crappy and judge ourselves. And you know what? When we start to feel crappy, we make crappy decisions. And when we're feeling creative and enlightened and enlivened, we start to make choices that are in the best interest of our health. That acknowledgement really stimulates our endorphins. It just makes us feel good and gives us that energy. So this is awesome. I hope you felt a little burst of energy when you're thinking about and acknowledging what's going well with you. So let's celebrate. Let's do a little happy dance. Woohoo! So, how are you doing with your water consumption? Tell me. Remember, your goal is to consume half of your body weight in ounces of water every day. Here's another tip. Start your day by drinking at least 20 ounces of water. Your body's dehydrated after sleeping. So when you wake up and you drink that water, you're rehydrating your body. And you know what? You get a little burst of energy when you do that too. So it's an added bonus. You get to start your day with more energy and you're already hydrated. And you've already got 20 ounces of water to begin your day toward your goal of half your body weight in ounces every day. So we're going to go over, I talked about the energy foods. We're going to go over the exercise of writing down the foods that give you energy and the foods that take energy away in session 2. So I want you to continue that this next week. We want to get a good documentation, a good list of those foods, because that is how we start building the diet that is perfect for your body. Okay. So this session is going to be quite unique because it's our first session together. And it's all about laying the foundation for all of the other sessions. Because, you know, without a good foundation or without our map, we don't know where we're going, and we don't know if we get there. So what I'd like to do now is talk about a goal that you would like to set for yourself for the next 6 weeks. And we want the goal to be stated in the positive. We want it to be a SMART goal, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so there is a listing of what each of those mean: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. That is how you should create your goal. We don't want to have to rely on anybody else to make the change happen. And I also want to make sure that your goal is achievable within the 6-week program that we're going to be going through together. And your goal should have a sensory-based description, so you know how it feels and how it looks and how you'll know when you have it. The goal would be easy to measure, or we'd like to have a description that would let us know when we've achieved the goal. And it should also have an appropriate chunk size, meaning the biggest chunk to be worthwhile, yet small enough to really feel attainable. So if I could wave a magic wand, what is a goal you'd like to accomplish for yourself in the next 6 weeks of our working together? Let's look at the outcome, maybe 2 or 3 outcomes that you'd like to have happen over our time together, that if you feel you got those, you think like, wow, this is the best investment I've ever made. So go ahead and write that down in your Quick Map journal. Do you have that? Perfect. Now, be specific. If you say something vague like, I want to feel better, ask yourself, I want to feel better how? How specifically do I want to be feeling? Do I want more energy? Do I want to be able to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and work out? Do I want to not feel full after a meal, but still feel satisfied? Write specifically down how you want to feel. Make your goals very specific. Okay, you can be working on those. You know, you have your journal. It's a fillable PDF, so you can write those down on your computer if you want, but work on your goals. It's important to know where you're going, to have an idea of this is where I'm going. And when you get there, you're going to be able to celebrate, to say, I set a goal and I achieved my goal. Okay. So, you know, everybody tells you it's really hard to get motivated to change a habit. And I'm here to tell you it's not. Why? Because when you have a driving reason to make a change, you become one with that desire and it drives you. So we're going to begin by determining your why, your deep down reason you want to make a change at this time. And I call this your big motivating factor, or your big MOFA. So for those of you that have joined me in my Your Sweet Without the Sweets challenge, this is going to sound a bit familiar to you. And why are we doing it again? Because your reason for doing this online course are probably different than it was for the challenge. So take a minute to think about the reason you want to make a change in your eating habits. Not a superficial reason like you want to fit into that clingy dress that you have hidden in the back of your closet. I'm talking about the driving reason deep down in your soul for wanting to make this change right now to become healthy. Do you want to have the energy to do more than just go to work and then come home and flop on the couch and binge on Netflix? Do you want to have an active retirement? What is your big MOFA? What is your big motivating factor? Write that down in your Quick Map journal. Get that documented and have it where you can see it and refer back to it often. That will be a driver for you. Now, what I'd like you to do is state your goal out loud. State what you want to accomplish. What will having this do for you? What is important about it? The reason I have you state it out loud is you're declaring that now. Even though I may not be able to hear you, I'm able to feel it. And I know that you're declaring to the universe and to yourself, this is my big motivating factor. This is why I want to do this. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this big motivating factor for you? Your goal should be at least an 8 to make it important enough to make the commitment and follow through like you never have before. So if it's not at least an 8, you need to think of another big motivating factor or kind of dial that up and say, yeah, this is what I really want. So what is that? Write it down. Write your number down in your journal. Now, is there anything else that feels important to you about your goal? What is important to you about feeling and being this way? So we're going to focus on your goal as we progress through this next 6-week program. And now take a moment to think about anything else you'd like to focus on in the next 90 days. And if there is, what you want to do is create another SMART goal and make sure that aligns with your big MOFA. So you can pause this video if you have something else and go through that and write down your next goal, your SMART goal, get it in your Quick Map journal so you can have that documented as well. So go ahead and pause if you want to add more goals. Okay, welcome back. Now that we've identified your big MOFA, we want to create little reminders so you just don't forget about it. I want you to do something called anchoring your big MOFA. And an anchor is something physical in your environment that will remind you why you're doing all of this, why you're making the effort and the investment, especially in times when you don't feel like following through with the recommendations I'm going to be making over the next 6 weeks. Because you know what? There's going to be times when you're going to say, Carol, I don't want to do that. And you'll almost do destructive behaviors behind your own back, where you kind of go mindless for a moment and be like, yeah, whatever. And I'm just going to go behind my own back and do whatever the behavior is. We've all had those experiences. And over the next 6 weeks, it will come up. You're going to feel like that. And when it comes to making choices, we want to make the right choices because we know what's important about the choice, like the goal you set for yourself. So that anchor is a little reminder, so you just don't forget about it in between our sessions. There's going to be a lot of progress that happens outside of our sessions. And unfortunately, I am not going to be there every minute you're making those choices. So your anchors are your little accountability health coach. They're those little reminders to make a conscious choice rather than defaulting to your old behaviors. So anchors can be anything from a screensaver on your computer or on your phone with an inspiring message. It could be a piece of jewelry you wear or notes that you leave around the house. It could even be a song that you sing. It could be something like a beautiful smell or even, a body part like your knuckle or your ring finger. Just something that when you see it or feel it or hear it, it will remind you of your big mofa. This is going to do two things. It's going to be a pattern interrupter, something that stops you like a record scratch when you're tempted to make a choice that may not be in alignment with the outcomes that you desire. And it's going to give you a little influx of energy like, oh yeah, I really want to do whatever your goal is for myself. I really want to cut down on what I'm eating. I really want to walk a mile every morning. It will remind you of those goals that you set for yourself. And it's going to give you a little creative spark that you had kind of at the beginning when you were talking about what was going well in your life. And anchors can help prevent us from making incongruent choices for ourselves. And it can also give us that little infusion like, oh yeah, I really am excited about making these choices for myself in this moment. It can give you that acknowledgement. I am here. I'm excited about the choices I'm making, and I'm ready to show up for myself. Does that make sense? I hope so. So what we want to do is write down some physical objects or sensory reminders. And it could be, like I said, anything that you see, smell, feel, anything in your environment, and you're going to see every day that would make you make good choices. They would be great anchors to remind you of your big mofa, why you're doing this. So what do you think those could be? Just think for a minute. Now, if you're struggling to come up with something, it could be a note or a message like, what choice can I make right now that is in most alignment with my 6-week goal and my big mofa? That's congruent, right? Because that's where we're in alignment with our core values. You could have that message on your screensaver or on your phone, in your pantry, on your refrigerator door, or even on your bathroom mirror. So write your anchors down in your Quick Map journal. There's a page just for that, even with that little teaser in there if you're struggling coming up with some. All right, do you have some down? Good. Now, do you have your anchor with you now? Like if you have a piece of jewelry that you always wear, if you do, I want you to put your hand on it and really connect with it. And as you touch it, think about your goal and think about what is important about that goal. And what I want this anchor to represent for you is that you're saying yes to living boldly until it becomes habituated, that this is your default. This is going to be your norm. And that's where you live. And falling out of that would be the aberration versus the other way around, which has somehow been distorted. So we can begin by noticing when you look at that anchor, you start to notice that little spark. You're going to spark your inner spark, right? And it's sort of like we had a dial on an inner flame, and it would turn up that flame. You can control the flame. It can be really bright or it can be really soft, because there's no pressure for you to keep up with some kind of energetic force. You can just be you. But notice yourself saying yes to living boldly. So link your anchor to your goal in your mind and imagine yourself with your anchor. Imagine where you're going to put it. Now imagine walking in the room and seeing it. And what will that tell you in your mind? What will that signify for you? Write that down. Perfect. Thank you. So what I want you to do is when you see your anchor and when you're faced with a situation where you're tempted to do something that's not in alignment with your MOFA and your goals, is to say, what choice do I have now? And is whatever I'm getting ready to do in alignment with my big MOFA and my goal? And it might be you're choosing something like a certain lunch for yourself. Or it might be that you're going to take a walk instead of eating that package of Oreos. You're stating who you are being when you are choosing to act in alignment with your MOFA. Okay. You'll want to do this exercise for each of your anchors. And if you have more than one goal, have more than one anchor. And if there are things that are really dear to you, have those as your anchor. Let me show you one of my anchors, and I have it right at my desk. It's a picture of my parents. My parents didn't have the very best of health. They didn't really take care of themselves all that great. And I look at them and think, wow, I want to live a healthier retirement than my parents did. I love them dearly. I miss them every day. And I want to live a healthy retirement. So I have this picture here to remind me I love them so much. And I want to be happy and healthy in my retirement so I can live well into it and just be active. So this is one of my anchors, and I have it right at my desk. All right, so just know that eventually the muscle develops and you get a muscle memory. And you know what? The next thing is you're going to be waking up every day and automatically making choices in the direction of success without even thinking about it anymore. And that's where the repetition of your new habit becomes behaviors that are just naturally what you do. They are the things that are in alignment with your outcomes and your motivating factors. Okay, so we'll practice with those as our primary anchors. Work on that this week. Place them around your house. Figure out where they need to be so they can be those little pattern interrupters. Okay, so are you ready for another challenge? Okay, I want you to practice. I don't want you to perfect, but I want you to practice bumping yourself up to the top of your priority list for the next 7 days. And our goal is actually to bump yourself up to the top of your priority list for the next 6 weeks. And why do I say that? Because we give and we give and we give to others, which leaves ourselves depleted. And we can't give anything to ourselves because there's nothing left to give. The tank is empty. But you know what happens? When you really are giving to everybody else and you're not giving to yourself, you're not giving 100% to everybody else either, because you can't give from a place of depletion. That's what it means to approach life from a point of depletion. But when we prioritize ourselves and we take care to nourish ourselves, both nutritionally and give our bodies what they need, we find that we have more energy to give ourselves, to give those to those who we love, and to give to our careers. And so what that means is that follow through is like a second appointment that you can't cancel. It's a sacred appointment. And you're likely to be tested with this by rationally important deadlines or someone needing you. And we're just asking you to do things a little bit differently than you have done in the past. Is there something on your calendar that you can cancel or that you can delegate? Identify those and follow through by canceling or delegate. You're going to learn from that. And if you don't like it, and if it's not working, that's okay. We're going to change it. But this week, you are at the top of your priority list. Are you willing to commit to that? Good. It's harder than it sounds. It seems simple, but it's not easy. But that's your goal for this week. You're at the top of your priority list. So in your quick map journal, you will see, let me share my screen again real quick. Okay. You'll see all the pages here, your SMART goals, your big MOFA. You have little things to remind you. There's your little example. There you are. You're at the top of your priority list. So on this page, what I would love for you to do is write your name at the top. Big, bold letters. If you have some colored markers, put it in big colored markers. If you've printed this, if you're using the fillable PDF, use big, bold letters. And then bedazzle it. Put stars. Put little, ziggly things around it. Make confetti. Celebrate you at the very top of your priority list. Now, what, if anything, in your mind might you have to let go of in order to manifest this result? And here's what I mean by that. I have to do it because I always do that. Nobody else can do it as well as I can. Oh, my family depends on me to do that. I know I have to do that. Is that 100% true? Are you the only one that can do that? Does it have to be done this week? Do some soul searching here and decide, do I have to do that right now? Nobody else can do it? Let go of that. Let go of yourself thinking that you have to be the one that does it. Put yourself at the top of your priority list. You have work to do this week and the next 6 weeks. And when you prioritize yourself and you start achieving those goals, you'll be amazed at the energy you have and the progress that you'll make when you put yourself first and commit to this program. Okay. So what I'd love for you to do is put your goals and your big motivating factor, your big MOFA, somewhere where you can see them. Have your quick map out and have it so you can refer to it often. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. I promise by the end of this, I will get my my technology down. All right. One of the most important things for you to do this week is really connect with your anchors. Those anchors are reminding you to show up for yourself. And when I say get connected with them, it's actually intentionally putting these places in your house, in your environment, that will remind you of what we talked about, of the feeling that goes along with that, of making a vow to yourself. It reminds you of your commitment and your big motivating factor. Why you care about making a change at this time and doing something differently than you have done in the past. Like, why is this time going to be different? And those anchors are little reminders that you're already on your way, and to trigger the thought that I am making the best choice for myself right now, right in this moment. Now, some people finish this session and don't follow through carefully, choosing their anchors and placing them where they're going to be most impactful. Don't make that mistake. These are visual reminders. They're important and they're impactful. So the second thing you're going to do is put yourself at the top of your priority list. Look at your calendar. Look at the household chores and see, what can you cancel? What can you delegate? And then follow through. Then do it. How's all this feeling for you? A little overwhelming? That's okay. You can do it. I'm here to support you. Okay. Remember, this is a judgment-free zone. There is no judgment here. There's no judgment coming from me, and I don't want you to judge yourself. We're just going to see how this evolves. Oh, and one more thing. As you're doing all this and you're working on concentrating on yourself, I'm just curious, do you have somebody that can help you hold yourself accountable? That you're really going to show up for yourself? Identify that person. And what I'd love for you to do is speak with him or her and let them know that these are some of the things you're going to be focusing on this next week. And just ask them to hold you accountable. And it doesn't mean that they have to watch every move you make or every piece of food that you put in your mouth or to watch you do your action steps. It's just that, putting it out there often just helps us hold ourselves accountable because you've announced it to somebody else. And just say, check in on me. Send me a text and say, hey, how you're doing with your anchors. So that's one of your action steps. Just ask somebody to hold you accountable. And seeing if an accountability partner really helps you commit to showing up for yourself. Okay? Perfect. So you've been fabulous. You've been great here in our first session. I hope you're as excited as I am. And I just want to appreciate you for, showing up and being willing to fully engage in this session and be here for yourself. And I'm curious, is there one insight or some appreciation that you've had in this session? Something that you'd like to take with you that you learned in this session, or you thought, oh my gosh, that really hit home for me? If there is, write that down in your Quick Map journal and post your aha moment in the Facebook group. Okay, in our next session, we're going to talk about the foods that give you energy and the foods that zap your energy. Continue your pre-work assignment of writing down what you eat and how you feel right after and then 2 hours later, and bring that information to your session next week. And I can't wait to dig into that. Okay, everybody, you have a very healthy week, and I will see you during our next session. Okay, see ya. I will be in the Facebook group, so if you need me, I'll be there. Bye-bye.